Public speaking, it's always so fun. It's always the best. Hello and welcome. Thank you to all who are here in person as well as joining us here live online. I'm Kelsey Warner, the future editor at The National, where I cover tech and innovations reshaping society. And the pandemic isn't mentioned in this session, but when it comes to healthcare, there is going to be a before 2020 and an after. And so to talk about this after and the implications for technology, we are joined by an absolutely stacked panel and a group of people that throughout the last 2.5 years, I've wanted to talk to each of you at some point in the last 2.5 years. And so to have you all together, Dr. Ahmed El-Hashimi, our host here at the Abu Dhabi Department of Health. He is the head of digital initiatives and the advisor to the CEO. Hashish Koshi, the G42 Healthcare CEO, also with us. Syed Hussein, a technology lead at Johnson & Johnson. Victoria Aksionova, Hub71 startup founder and CEO at Mindtails. And Hussam Mahmood, the managing partner of SkyGo, which is a drone delivery company out of Abu Dhabi that's really working on some just very exciting things. So all together, I would like to just start out, if each of you, thinking about the last 2.5 years, it is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to be of service, to protect public health, and to kind of find your why, find your mission. So if each of you could ground us in the work that you've been doing, either as frontline thinkers and doers, but also as entrepreneurs or big pharma here, if you could lead us off.
Thanks, Kelsey. I think certainly this has been once in a century event that we certainly this has been once in a century event that has occurred, right? And for us, I think in our credo within Johnson & Johnson, this is ingrained that we first and foremost focus on our patients and the healthcare professionals in terms of how we deliver the services to them. And this has been a great opportunity, to be honest with you, that we have leveraged the global workforce to deliver the vaccine, as you know, and it's not just the development of the vaccine with the technology, the delivery of the supply chain technologies and the enablement of it. When it comes to the healthcare professionals, we've enabled a lot of digital capabilities and tools to safeguard them, to protect them. We have a digitalized process implementation as well. And last but not the least, we've also focused on the employees, which we believe that if the talents internally are happy and healthy, they would be able to produce better results to our customers and the patients.
Thank you, Kelsey. Can you hear me? So when I came up with idea 2 years ago, I was talking to different psychologists. And some feedback I got, there is no way mental health is moving online. And then fast forward a couple of months, everything changed. Basically, in 4 weeks, healthcare ecosystem moved online. So actually, the biggest issue here in GCSE region, that there is no enough mental health professionals supporting people who need care, and as well as social stigma associated with that. So that's why we decided to focus and provide accessible and affordable solution for people when they need and at their convenient time. And that's how Mindtails came about. Thank you.
Okay, the pandemic has been a big transformation certainly for the healthcare. And we as a regulator has been managing the pandemic for the last 2 years. And I would say the main change that we have seen and witnessed during this period is we as a regulator, how we become more agile, more collaborative, as well as focusing on the outcomes of the patients. And the big success for Abu Dhabi throughout this year contributed in terms of the approach that we have adopted. It's not anymore that we focus on the solutions or providing the services by ourselves, but we collaborated across the different players. And this is the witness of what we have in the panel. We collaborated with G42 in several aspects, with some of the startups, as well as with the big pharmaceutical companies. So it's about how we become agile, collaborative, and also having a focus on the patient and whatever what we do as a regulator.
Thank you, Kelsey, and good afternoon. And first of all, it's a privilege to be part of this esteemed panel. What have we been doing for the past 2 years? How much time do we have?
I know.
So G42 Healthcare, the mission for us is personalized medicine. We've been blessed to work really close to the UAE's government, specifically on, as Dr. Hamad has mentioned, the mandate to improve healthcare. We came in when speed, scale, synchronization was required. Some of the key initiatives, without going into details, is we built a lab in 14 days in Abu Dhabi. It's running over 1 million tests now. It's currently doing viral genome sequencing at scale. We brought in events back into Abu Dhabi, the UFCs, we are protecting Expo. So there's a lot of initiatives under and all leveraged using technology. We have an Omics Center of Excellence in Abu Dhabi, which I believe I might be selfish when I'm saying it's one of the largest infrastructures in the world. We are part of a large Emirati genome program, which is the world's largest population genome program. We're working in terms of a CRO where we're bringing targeted therapeutics into the country. We ran the largest clinical trial for phase 3 here with 45,000 volunteers in 4 different countries, and it's never been done before in the UAE, all through with the support of the DOH, where they gave us an open playground to work and make it happen. And beyond going forward, there's a lot of initiatives piggybacking machine learning, AI, and cloud solutions, and we look forward to a life beyond the pandemic to deploy these solutions in multiple other ecosystems.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be on the panel. I'm really honored, and I feel really privileged to be in Abu Dhabi and the success that has been done and how we manage DOH, G42 and the rest of the companies, how they manage during the pandemic compared to the rest of the countries. From our side, we've been involved in the supply chain, but in the same time, we wanted to do something different that will talk to the future. And we believe in managing the things in a very simple way. As Steve Jobs said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Then what we wanted to do, we wanted to lift the logistics from the ground in order not to put lots of more infrastructure, not to have accident, not to have lots of non-value added, less carbon emission, and we want to bring it to the sky in an ecological way. And in this way, we came with this idea of solving a very complex logistics problem and via drones. And we decided at that time that the best thing to do is the healthcare, because this is where they need us the most. This is where they need us to go fast. This is where we need less cross-contaminations. And everything starts coming together, and this is how we build the puzzle. And hopefully in a couple of months, we will be flying in Abu Dhabi with the help of DOH and our friends, our drones.
Inshallah, a couple of months, drones in the sky
Inshallah.
over Abu Dhabi for medical purposes.
100%.
Intriguing. Dr. Al-Hashami, I want to ask you, as the regulatory body, as the representative of the regulatory body, you are not the regulatory. The level of compliance you have achieved and the outcomes during COVID also that were achieved, but also this contrast that we were just hearing about of opening it up to be a playground of innovation at the same time in a lot of ways. And so towing that line between outcomes and effectiveness, as well as innovation, trusting in technology, and pushing forward. I want to ask you about managing that line. What do you see as the regulator in terms of innovation priorities? What's exciting to you? What's showing the most promise? But what are you paying the most attention to as a regulator these days?
Well, I mentioned earlier that the importance of collaboration and becoming agile. And one aspect that I think we excelled and we have done well during the pandemic is about mobilizing the different resources, assets that's available in Abu Dhabi, and more focused around the digital health and as well as on the use of the data. Abu Dhabi invested a lot on the data when it comes to Malafi as well as on different data assets. And during the pandemic, we have seen the benefit of the use of the data. And the way we're looking at it, and we have seen when we interact with the data and create the insight, this makes us much more informed about what is happening in the sector, and we are able to take the right decisions in terms of taking care of our populations. The way forward, as we see, it's more about focusing on the use of the data. So we're building different platforms. We finished building our data lake. We're bringing all the clinical records. At some stage, we're going to bring also the genomics and different social determinant assets that will be available within the data lake. And that we're going to enabling it, and we're creating what is called the innovation platform. And within this platform, this will enable research collaborations across different parties. We are demonstrating one of the use cases actually that we pursued during the pandemic, which is the long COVID. And the long COVID is we're taking all of this information that we have captured during the COVID, and we're trying to see the impact of the COVID on the population in terms of the different kind of chronic disease that evolving and or we have to deal with in the future. And this kind of assets or the platform that we build, certainly that will open up the door for different kind of innovations, different kind of solutions with the startups, with established large corporation, pharmaceuticals, as well as other actors within the Abu Dhabi. So I would say that we build a significant different platforms, and we're establishing the right facilities so that we enable more innovations. It could be on the use of the data, but then also we're getting into the virtual care, we're getting into the different startups like mental health, areas that of interest of us, like the primary care. We're working with some private companies in terms of introducing virtual care for primary care in Abu Dhabi. But then the door is open for any kind of collaboration that will make use of what we already have.
But data sounds fundamental, is where it all starts.
It's all about data.
So Syed and Ashish, I want to take that forward. Ashish, starting with you, thinking about Artemis, the supercomputer G42 has at its disposal, and now the genomics lab that you have underway as well. When we think about days after, the days post-pandemic, I know we still are not post-pandemic, but where we go from here, when we talk about taking that data forward and moving beyond it as building block, what insights are you looking at? What are you excited about? And Syed, I want to ask you the same after that.
Thank you. I think you nailed it. I think it's big data is number one. You look at it, genomics, a person's human genome is roughly around 200 GB, and you talk about sequencing the entire population. You need that Artemis, you need that supercomputer to drive that. So anything that is big data is what we as an organization is interested in. So moving on from genomics, moving to proteomics, metabolomics at scale, and that's what we are focused on, leveraging the infrastructure as you mentioned. But other than that, I think key things that we are interested in is leveraging, the telemedicine program that the DOH has. There is a component of bringing wearables, and I'm sure the other members in this panel will agree. I am wearing one as we speak, and even the clinical trial participants had one of them. There's a lot of ways we can combine remote monitoring using telemedicine, giving them wearables, and off the pandemic learning how to give cost-effective patient care and real time. I think this big data, cloud computing, AI, and together with telemedicine and IoT wearables, I think that's the next big thing, because we are set for it. We are ready to consume more data. That's correct, but not at that scale. I think that's what we want to do, leverage off beyond the pandemic to take it at a much larger scale.
I think that it may sound a bit cliche, but data is the new oil, right? And it holds good more than ever before. In this particular case, I would say that the way we look at things is that we look at it end-to-end, holistic. It's not one specific siloed approach of capturing the data and analyzing it. It's throughout the ecosystem. How do we capture that data and make sure that it is interoperable and it's also connected in terms of achieving the outcomes that we really want to achieve? Because isolated data analysis will not get us anywhere. I think this is the holistic approach that we need to take. From regulatory perspective, of course, I think with the partnership and the support that we've had, we're also implementing visible patient. We're demonstrating at this particular booth as well. That's another example of machine learning and data where we are able to give the surgeons the ability to perioperatively decide on the best course of action. And that's the data and insights that enables the healthcare professionals to do a better surgery and perform from patient outcomes perspective. So these, I think, holistically, to sum it up, I would say that it is the end-to-end process that we need to look at rather than an isolated approach.
Thank you. So I want to switch gears a little bit and ask Hussam and Victoria about the decision to, I know Hussam, you're still at your fairly stable job, but to leave secure jobs during a pandemic and go off and be tech startup founders here in the UAE, and to make that leap, what opportunity did you see in the last year or two, and what are you learning as you go out and try new things and try to change the health landscape here in this country?
First of all, I believe I'm 52 years old. I believe I have another 50 to live, and I want to make something interesting. This is number one. Okay. Number two, the way we look at it, we want to change the entire city logistics, because this is the city of the future. And here we're working with a very solid companies around the world that have been doing this in other places in the world on a smaller scale, in Lugano, in Berlin, in US, which is called Matternet, our partners, that they are the technology providers, and they will be operating with us. When you lift this logistics in the sky, you solve the problems to be, how to be green, you reduce the CO2, you reduce the number of accidents, you don't need more infrastructures, you can do it in a much smarter way, you can collect data that I can sell to G42 and to the DOH and make money as well. This is how we get inspired. It's limitless, the opportunities. When we talk about drones delivery, we talk about online pharmacies. You start thinking, why do you need to go to the pharmacy to get your own medicine? I don't want to go in a place where everybody inside is a potential disease transmitter for me. I will receive this. The potential is unbelievable, and this makes us really feel very excited and enthusiastic about it.
I think we're in a bit of an uncertain moment when it comes to unmanned aerial vehicles in the sky in this part of the world. To be honest, I don't want to speak out of turn on this, but I am curious, given where we're at right now, is there going to be a muting effect on innovation in the short term when it comes to drones, given what we're experiencing, or what are you seeing in terms of your timeline at SkyGo?
No, for me, I look at it as it's something new. We don't know about it. We ignore it. Everything that it's new, people in the beginning, they are a bit scared, especially with what's happening now in the region. But this is new reality. It will happen sooner or later. And we want in Abu Dhabi to be the leader in this technology. We want to put ourselves on the map to be the first city of the future for urban deliveries.
And the urban delivery part is interesting because mostly we've seen drone deliveries happening in rural areas, famously in Rwanda. Why Abu Dhabi? Why does it lend itself well to this application?
First of all, because I've been in Abu Dhabi for 25 years and I love it. Second of all, this is where I believe the government, the regulators, the partners, DOH, GCAA, they are ready. They want to incubate such ideas. We tried in different places. You have so many obstacles, but in 6 months, we were finished with all the regulators. Everybody loved our idea, incubate our idea, and they want to be part of it. And this is the Abu Dhabi culture and mentality. And when you look at it, this has been coming with the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul. He put this in the people. They want to be the first. They want to grow. They want to bring innovation. And this is something they feel very proud about it. And everybody wants to help us.
All right, I'll take it. So Victoria, over to you. Yes, on the why found now question, and what are you learning?
Yeah, so actually it wasn't that a difficult decision to make. So when I just had the idea, the first thing I did was to talk to Department of Health. And when you think it's just the access, and they were very open about it. And we were mentioning like there's a huge gap in mental health. And then they said like, okay, what do you need? We can help you. And they help with all like incorporation, helping us to go through like POC details and stuff like that. And at the same time, you have a great support from other accelerators, and such as Hub 71. So think like, and there is no support like that, I think, in other parts of the world. Because you can come here, so for a couple of years, you can test your idea, you can get great advisors around you, the same like startups who are building and building on their dreams. And I think this is an amazing place to be.
And I don't want to be, I don't want to minimize a mental health care issue, but it seems like in mental health care you can either talk about it or you can medicate it. But so where does technology come in, and what levers are you pushing when it comes to tech to improve individual mental health?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, like mental health is not as visible as physical health, and there is still social stigma. But I see from even the top-down approach, like DOH and other government like based here, they're talking about that. So this is the first thing that helps our life much easier. In terms of using technology, so there have been a lot of different techniques and working techniques, and what technology allows us to make those scalable and available to many people. And what we're doing, we're using gamified approach to minimize the stigma associated with that. So that just explaining different things in an easy way, so then people can use it whatever they want. So what is anxiety, what is stress, how to improve you. And this is available on your app. And if you have 5 to 10 minutes during the day, you can just do those exercises and you feel better.
I want to open it up a bit again and talk about the challenges that we still face in terms of applying technology to healthcare. We certainly do not live in a perfect world. We're still sitting in a pandemic. None of us are living to be 120 years old. So what still needs to be done? What are the hurdles that each of you are waking up each day and still trying to overcome? We have a regulator here sitting with us, so maybe you also have his ear today as well. But yeah, if we can think about challenges and talking about being solutions oriented around tackling those challenges kind of together.
Yeah, I think what we have learned during the pandemic, we had to deal with different technology companies, solutions, and actually we got bombarded with the number of solutions that being offered. And what it helped us is having a focus on what we want, having a clarity about not going about the technology for the sake of the technology, but focusing on the specific use cases that will have an impact on the patients and the society. And when we look at the technology, simply I look at it into two different dimensions. Technology that have the high rate of innovation, and then technology that will have a high rate of integration to the model of care. And if we can identify these two elements, then this will be a use case, and we have a specific use case, then we really can apply it. Otherwise, it becomes a technology applied for the sake of the technology. And we're seeing that the focus for us, if we have a focus, we're focusing on two elements. It's about the patient engagement, as well as on how we enhance decision support, whether to us as a provider or the other actors within the system. There are some challenges, certainly, when it comes to, for example, offering telemedicine or telehealth, but that all has been already enabled. We publish a lot of policies, a lot of standards, and sometimes we had to work closely with the people who are coming with the technology ideas so that we can make sure that this will be we will be able to help them and support them. So we are very much open, and this is the essence of Department of Health, is we are very much open in terms of listening to new ideas, maybe has not been applied elsewhere. And if there is a hurdle or a challenge, then we'll work it out. And I'm sure that most of the people that you ask them why Abu Dhabi, and I would say most of the interaction that we had with some of the companies, they have seen a big shift in terms maybe 4 years to ish, and now it is about the leadership, supporting the idea generation, supporting the experimentation of different use cases and technology, and then working out with the companies like yourself to make them a success. So yes, challenges are there, but we find a way how to work it out.
We're also seeing increased efforts from Abu Dhabi to develop research and development in intellectual property kind of more in-house. Can you speak a little bit to DOH's activity in that area?
Yes, and we're looking at healthcare as a whole. It's not anymore as only providing the services, but we're looking at the Department of Health, how we contributing to the economic growth for Abu Dhabi. And certainly that will take us about how to mobilize the different assets, different companies that will work with us in terms of realizing this reality. And that only will be achieved once we really open up for different collaborations, different model of collaborations, and also economic model that will make Abu Dhabi successful in terms of bringing new startups, new companies. And we work very closely on companies that are homegrown, and this is our preference. And you have seen like the lack of G42. We're dealing with other companies like SAL and other companies, and all of them are in here. And our objective, and we launching different projects like the visual care platform, as the ME Hub, and other solutions that we demonstrated in here. These are all being worked out with local companies established in here, and we would support the people coming locally and presenting their ideas, and we'll provide all the support that will be provided by the department.
Local, local, local. So, Syed, I want to turn it to you, talking data earlier. If you can speak directly on challenges with data interoperability, and you talked about multiple data points in patient care. Can you talk more about that and the challenges you're still facing?
Sure. I think if we just look at it from a pre-pandemic stage, yeah. So the way we see that earlier, you would talk about challenges in the pre-pandemic stage, but now I think we're talking more about opportunities. And rather than talking challenges, I would rather refer to it as opportunities. And I think with the flexibility, and we've also seen the announcements that have come through with the data localization and then the follow-up that has happened on that particular topic, we see a lot of collaboration and partnership with the DOH and the ministry in terms of how we could bring in the global experimentation and all of the intelligent automation and the capabilities that we are developing at a global level into the region. And we are seeing Visible Patient is a classic example of that. And there are other modules. We have a surgical process institute which does digitalization of the processes within the OR. These are the capabilities and the opportunities rather than challenges. I'm seeing more of opportunities that are ahead of us, so to speak.
Sure, I'll have the mic, so I'll answer that. So, as you said, what we are a living proof of a company that transformed a challenge into an opportunity. But nevertheless, being a healthcare tech company, some of the challenges that we see are the speed in which the world of AI is transforming, the speed in which technology is evolving. I think that's essential to keep pace with. And together with that, we need a growth mindset, not just in the regulator body, but also in companies that are deploying these solutions, to move away from the traditional mindset of silos, as you had mentioned, but having that growth mindset, and most importantly, talent is something that we found was one of the biggest challenges, especially being a deep niche tech company. It was hard to find individuals with AI experience, with machine learning experience, and we are taking that challenge and moving into an opportunity where we have our own Tahil program where interns can come in, hands-on, you can play with AI, cloud computing, across not just healthcare, but across all solutions. But to the point of where potentially we transformed a challenge to a lesson, I think it's the power of what Dr. Ahmed said, the collaborative operating model. We work very well with the government sector. We work very well with B2B businesses. And one good thing that, I think G42 Healthcare is really good at is identifying our strengths, but we are experts at finding our weaknesses. And that's when we reach out to strong partners to bring into Abu Dhabi, bring into the UAE. And I think that's the future where technologies will work beyond borders, beyond capabilities, work together to improve healthcare together. And it's the only way possible is by joining forces. And I think the pandemic is a clear example of how multiple entities, as Dr. Hamid had mentioned, joined forces. We knew our strengths, they knew their strengths, came together to solve one single cause. Yeah.
I believe the biggest challenge we have that we cannot do tomorrow what we used to do before, because this is what this is the biggest lessons we get from the pandemic. The biggest challenge today is how we will adapt as fast as possible. Because what we have, as Ashish said and as Doctor said, the ecosystem and the culture is in Abu Dhabi, and it's there, and it's giving us all these resources and tools. How are we gonna put all these tools and resources together to move to the next after pandemic? This is the real challenge. I don't think that we've been able till now to think big enough to know where we want to be. It's unbelievable. I was on a course on Harvard. They were expecting the e-business in 2020 reach the numbers of what they were expecting to reach in 2030. And everything is going this way. And the healthcare is the same, the logistics is the same. And this is what we try to do as SkyGo. We try to focus on our core, which is logistics, solve transportation problem. And by going and finding the best people in the industry and the best know-how and the best technologies to bring it and adopt it. We do not want to reinvent the technology. We want to adopt and to be the incubator for this technology to go as fast as possible and to engage with the right partner. And I think the best thing here is culture. Culture is helping us to adapt to the new challenges and to the new world.
Yeah, so I think a lot of challenges already have been mentioned. So one thing I would like to just note, I think we really need to focus on evaluating digital health outcomes and focusing on efficacy. And that's, I think that's good from Department of Health. So you really make sure the whole research process and to get the approval is pretty easy. But what we find challenging is actually find the corporates who, when we execute and then we run our trials. So this, I think, needs to be changed and then to have more collaborative approach from all the ecosystem players, making sure that this actually benefits them as well.
Ashmi, I actually want to ask you, G42 was founded in 2018 with a mandate to help help Abu Dhabi realize its AI ambitions. And so I'm curious from your perspective at G42 Healthcare, AI is one of the most hyped, overused words of this century so far, but where is AI actually showing up in your work these days?
So I think that's a very valid question, and our core is based on a team of wonderful engineers working continuously to come up with innovative solutions. I had mentioned earlier we have multiple tracks. We have a biogenics lab. We have deployed predictive models there to read the positivity S-curve, because the biggest challenge at the time as a regulator was to improve the turnaround time. We've moved away from a human actually sitting on each and every result, but we validated it with a model and then eventually back to the physician or the doctor to sign off. So that's one area. Genomics, I mentioned each data file of a human being is roughly 200 GB. So we have a team of bioinformatics and AI engineers who are coming up with multiple ways to annotate this data. Keep in mind the Arab genome has never been sequenced before. There's no reference genome to look at and say, yes, this means this. So that's a part where we are applying multiple AI models to do and annotate genomes. But irrespective of that, we have worked also with the Department of Energy on wastewater analysis, taking samples and deploying models of identifying hotspots within Abu Dhabi proactively, even before the pandemic starts. So there's an area of sectors where we as an organization have deployed our core skills. But to your point, I agree with you. I think it's the mindset that needs to change, and that was one of the challenges that I addressed. The growth mindset needs to kick in. People need to take a risk, and we've been blessed, as I said, again and again, with the DOH, who have been positive and, as I said, opening up a lab for us to deliver innovative, but solutions that we want to test and validate and bring into the market.
So solutions that still need to be validated. What springs to mind is personalized medicine. I think we talk about that a lot, but the patient experience hasn't really gotten there yet. And I think each of you sitting here has a role to play in advancing personalized medicine. I think you do. So I wonder if you agree with that and where you see each of your roles in advancing this idea of personalized medicine. I'll give you a minute to think. I think you want to think just a little bit more.
I can start off if just leveraging the last point that I mentioned is on genomics. It's about each person's DNA, and I think it couldn't get more personalized than that. The UAE has worked upon the most comprehensive population genome program with the single goal to provide a personalized medicine to each citizen where they would know through their DNA what works for them. what does not work for them, and that's the future. And there's no other country in the world that's doing this genomics at scale, and I think that is one way. I'm sure the other panelists will have other points, but I think that is a key to drive personalized medicine.
Well, first of all, going to the first question, I mean, AI has already been applied. I mean, we have used it. We have different use cases. Actually, we are demonstrating here 7 use cases on applying AI on the long COVID, on different kind of solutions. And the personalized medicine, you look at it, maybe the first step is about how we, and this is the focus for myself and also my team, is about the population health management. It's more about using all of these assets that we have built during the COVID and previously, how to embed, for example, in Malafi, a better decision support about the patient. So now when you step in to the physician, he will see only the records, the medical record, and will scan through different kind of data, right? And what we have taken it further now, so okay, let's build tools so that through AI, we gather all of this information and then we provide a better, more enhanced decision support to the physician. We already started with one project, which is about the population health, which is about the risk. So we embedding now within Malafi 15 insights to the physician about different disease that this person could have, but as well as more of predictive model. So based on all of the data that coming from Abu Dhabi from that person, then we can predict. Hamid, if I step in, then can we, from all of this data, can I predict that I'm going to get cancer or diabetic? So this is more insight to the physician. And I think this area, first of all, the technology is there. We have the infrastructure, we have the platform, and this becomes a priority for us again, use of the data to become more close to the patient, understanding their disease. But then the next step, can we bring, which is maybe Ashish mentioned before, is about can we bring other data elements through IoT to the gadgets so that the physician will not look at only the clinical elements, but can look about the behaviors, the habit of the person, the nutritions. And this is where we are heading, and I think the opportunities are huge and something that can be done. We're already starting it, so that we become more kind of, the physician will have more ideas, a comprehensive idea about the person that is stepping in, and then the care will be much better than previously.
Yeah, so firstly, I wanted to touch upon the thing that mental health in traditional sense is based on trial and error approach. And the thing is a 50% of efficacy. And now actually when we are using digital solution, we can capture the data and we can see what works, what doesn't work for each individual person. And depending on that, then we provide personalized approach and personalized recommendation. So for example, for some people work breathing exercises, for some people it's better to talk to psychologists or psychiatrists. So I think that technology really revolutionized how mental health is going forward.
I think from a Johnson perspective, there's a lot of capabilities and solutions that we are developing to personalize the medicine. Few examples that I would like to share are something like a platform called Care for Today, which is a patient pathway solution, which kind of personalizes the communication. It enables and empowers the patient post the surgery, gives them materials and documentation that they would not have access to otherwise, and that is all vetted documentation basically, so that they don't go back to Dr. Google to search for that information, and they have validated, confirmed scientific evidence to that. There are other capabilities, and as Doctor mentioned, you know, with the IoT and the sensors and all of those insights, we are actually collaborating to get all of those insights, to get valuable data, which can then personalize the medicine. There is other capabilities where we also give something called this remote Care for Today remote, where we have questions being asked to the patients post-surgery, and based on the answers that the patients give, the next best action or the responses go back to the patient. So these are some of the examples, and I think more to come with the advancement of data science and artificial intelligence. What we see is that what may happen in the next 10 years would be a lot faster than what has happened in the last 20, 30 years. So we're really excited about the future in this.
Again, the pandemic came and we learned how important is the health of the people and how important is the healthcare. When I see what's happening now, it's very disruptive. All the new technologies, all these sensors, all this big data that help us to build a better system and a better medicine. And we feel really privileged to be part of this and supporting this. It's unbelievable. It's not something that we can imagine the potential. And we are very excited about it, and anything we can support with, we will be here to support with all the departments.
So Hussam, we'll stick with you we'll swing it around for the last word from everyone. I want to ask each of you, just what are you seeing kind of on the fringes of the sector right now that will come to the fore maybe in the next decade or two that you're excited about, that you're kind of keeping an eye on, but is not yet as mature as, say, the genomics lab or the AI that we're talking about today?
For me, we are very disruptive, and once we use disruptive technologies, the normal player or the players on the market, they will not let you do what you want to do as fast as possible. And this is where we see the potential and also the challenge to adapt and work with these people closely, because we need them. We don't want to replace anybody, we want to be part of this. And I think this is where it becomes very exciting, how to take these old models that we have, couple it with what's happening in AI, in big data, all this, and change the entire ecosystem about it. And anyway, we will be part of it. And this is what makes us very excited about it.
I think, so basically you touched upon it. From what excites us is that there's a lot of work in the space of robotics. There's a lot of work with the advanced instrumentations that we're seeing. There's a lot of work happening in terms of the AI and machine learning and the data sciences. And when I speak about AI and data, it's not just about the external to the patients. It's also within the organization, the way the transformation actually takes place on how we enable and eliminate some of the mundane tasks through robotic process automations for our internal workforce, while we also focus on the patients and the healthcare professions externally. So this is something exciting that we foresee in the future.
So I think I slightly touched upon this answer previously also. So I'll just run it through once again. The telemedicine, I think it's going to break out big than how it used to be pre-pandemic. The inclusion of wearables, that's something that we are, as an organization, focused on to proactively manage individuals' health. Leveraging of our genomics and other omics initiatives, we're seeing a lot of technology on storage, cost-effective solutions. We are currently storing petabytes of data. Now, it's not cheap. There is a lot of innovation that's being done in even reducing the storage cost by a large margin, and that's something that there's a lot of technologies in that space. And then eventually also on cell therapy and regenerative medicine, I think there is a key focus post-pandemic, a lot of research on cell therapy and regenerative medicine. Again, robotics is another example. So these are the key initiatives that personally we are excited about.
Yeah, for me, it goes back again about the data. We have data, whether it's clinical or other data that available in the different platforms that we are using in our social life. And I think the biggest step for us, and what excites me, if we can bring all of this data all together, having a better kind of understanding about ourselves as well as about our health or how we can use it, or having a better value proposition for our patients. So if we are able to engage with this data, not only the clinical again, but the different elements of data, and I think we will be able to think differently about even the model of care that we are offering, the personalized medicine, and how we are engaging with the patient. The patient will be, or even before they are patient, they will be able to deal with their own data. They can consume it differently, as well as sharing it and making a better use of it. And then, of course, how to make it useful for the physicians once they getting into the data, to the treatment. We're looking as Advanced Health, one of the key mission for us is about data to save lives and also improve efficiency across the system. And it is something achievable. We're building different platforms, different assets, and we see already the result. And this is only the starting of the journey, and we'll continue the same path.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I would just to echo everyone's words. So what's going forward? So it's AI, data, personalization. But I think the biggest shift will be in the mindset, looking at mental health the same as the physical health, and looking at the human from the holistic perspective. So I think it's important.
Thank you to our awesome panelists. I am a hesitant patient today, but I think I am looking forward to being a patient in the future. It's my takeaway. And thank you so much to the Department of Health and to all of you who joined us online today and in person. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Al-Shami.